Okay, are we all in? Looks like we're all in. So welcome today. Our first day of fall, we think, right? Doesn't matter what the calendar says. It's all about West Michigan weather. So glad you could join us, especially those that are online with us that we can't see. But we're just hoping you'll enjoy this session together, which we do once a month for you newcomers. I'm Alice Doss. I'm president of Hasp, and I'm so happy you all got here today and that you had a chance to enjoy each other and our coffee and treats. And now you're going to enjoy a good program that the Hasp Monthly Program Committee has arranged for us. Just a reminder, turn off your phones or put them in airplane mode. Thank you. Okay, just a little announcement, and probably you saw this on the Hasp happenings, but we're going to have a chance at this point in our lives to give back to the community and to the world in something in which we can participate. So following today's meeting, the Hasp Service Committee is holding a volunteer fair. It's in the lobby where you had coffee before. We have 12 community organizations presenting ways you can volunteer your time and your expertise to help others. To allot time to find that special niche that catches your interest, the shuttle buses will begin return service to DeVos Fieldhouse and to Freedom Village at 11:15, so you don't have to feel like you're going to miss the bus. Just wanted you to be sure of that. And then, want you to watch for Hasp special events. Soon we'll be advertising, you can believe it, Christmas events. So Enlighten at Meyer Gardens, which will be Monday, December 8th. So keep your eye on the weekly ads to see when that becomes available. I know, I can't believe Christmas, especially when, well, I've been looking at Halloween stuff since August, at least. Yeah, but you know how it is. Got to get all that stuff on your lawn. Of course, I'm in a condo, so I can't put it on my lawn anyway. We have several new Hasp members with us today. So as I call your name, if you're here, would you please stand? That gives us a chance, as old-timers, to recognize who you are and to introduce ourselves to you after the meeting. So, Dana Bristow, Ed Bristow, Sue Busey, Mike Busey, and forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the names correctly, Estella Nicola, Annette Hassink, Bob Godfrey, Kelly Wright, Betty Forsberg, Sylvia Boyd, Linda Brownell, Tom Brownell, Robert Velstra, Sally Bradford, Nancy Timmer, Kathy Green, Jeff Green, Cheryl Juries, Joan Nelson, Bill Keene, Barbara Ruth Williams, Linda Jacobs, Shar Stewart, Linda Sharp, Paul Winter, Bill Bryson, Michelle Bryson, Carol Sorino, and Lisa Staley. So let's give them a hand and tell them they enjoyed, glad they're going to enjoy us. So now, I don't know how many of you really read what was going on this month, but in case you didn't, the title of it is Public Safety for Seniors in Holland. And just a little background on this, when the Hasp members are thinking about what to have for a program, they're just thinking about what would be important to us as individuals at this stage of our lives. So if you're engaging in cultural or social or educational, political, athletic activities, there are gatherings that you're predicting will be, oh, they'll be fine, but what if they go south for any reason? It could be a fire, could be an explosion, hazardous material incident, threat of violence, medical emergency, or whatever. Who will appear to help us? Responders trained and ready to assist us. So today is a session with the backstory of two of those responders who would like us to know what to expect. We are fortunate to have these people with us. Holland Fire Marshal Bret Groendyke, to my right, and Public Safety Officer Rod Mendoza. Okay, well, I always like doing my research on people, so thank heavens we have online capabilities, right? Just a little background on Bret. He's a Grand Valley State University graduate, and while he was working on his degree in geography, by the way, he was also working as a lieutenant in the Granville Fire Department. Then he came to join Holland's Public Safety, and he's been here since 2013. Also that year, he became an EMS instructor for Saugatuck Township. Now, I think some of us are aware of EMT, but EMS goes beyond what you learn in EMT. Then in early 2018, he was designated Fire Marshal for the City of Holland. Since then, he's also become an instructor for Michigan Fire Inspectors Society, which is quite an honor, and it's across the state, of course. He's also a proud father of 3 kiddos, the youngest of whom is 13 days old today. Yeah. Good. So then we have Rod Mendoza, who I also did my background check. And he's a Grand Valley State graduate also, but he's still working on that master's degree at Idaho State University. And it's a master's in Spanish literature. So when he retires, he's going to become a college professor. He's been a police officer here for 21 years, and he's a police academy instructor at Grand Valley, helping police recruits in different law enforcement-related topics through oral lectures and scenario-based learning. This was something totally new for me. He's a lead instructor for CRASE. How many of you have heard of that? CRASE, which refers to Civilian Response to Active Shooter Events. So it teaches civilians how to respond in those situations on the strategy of avoid, deny, and defend. Recently was assigned to the community policing team to serve as a bridge to our community and promote safety throughout the area with collaboration, communication, education, and trust. He's a family, his family is a little bit bigger, but he's a proud father of 3 boys and 4 girls. Whoa. and I have to tell you this one. One of the notes said that he was known to comment, this is years ago, that with some other guys in your community saying, we aren't going to let our girls date till they're 30, but he told me that he did back down on that. He has one that's 20, so he couldn't say no anymore. Okay, so after their presentation, we will take questions from the floor, but a reminder, this is not the time to voice your opinion on the presentation, only to ask clarifying questions. You don't have a platform to speak on. Okay, so please join me in welcoming Brad and Rod.
That's all right. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? No, that's all right. You can turn it back on. Ain't a big deal. I mean, I hope it turns back on. If it doesn't, I'll just shoot from the hip. That ain't a big deal either. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, by the way. It was Alice. Phenomenal. Bear with me a moment here, and I'll get the technology fired up. Everybody find the place okay? Yeah. Probably come here pretty regularly, right? Is this your normal meeting? Heck of a place to have your normal meetings at, by the way. Is that showing up on there? All right. So one of the things that, can I tell you about all the hats I wear here for a moment? All right, so I wear 3 hats. I'm responsible for all the inspections, all the investigations, and all of the public education, which is good. And the nice thing is that one hat tends to tie all 3 of them together. And so I get to go out, I get to inspect buildings, inspect homes, and I get to investigate fires and be able to communicate those things to you. And then that's kind of the public education piece of it, right? So it's all kind of linked and lined up together. This is my quiet speaking voice. As was discussed, I have small children, and I also work with other adult firefighters, and we have a tendency to yell at each other a lot. So the talking quieter is nice this morning. I like this. This is terrific. Probably nice for you too. So what you may be able to see there, and it's probably a little bit blurry, so I apologize for that, is these are all of the fires that have occurred in the city of Holland here in 2025. So far, there have been 29 building fires of varying degrees, causes, and losses. And one of the things that I would like you to consider as you're looking at all of those data points, because it's just an Excel spreadsheet, right? Just cold, meaningless data, right? Those are people. Those are people. Those are your neighbors. Those are you. Those are you. Don't lose track of that. Don't lose track of that. And so while you see dates and addresses and areas of origin and causes and property losses and content losses and exposures and whether or not their fire alarms went off or not, whether or not somebody called 911, because that happens where there's no 911 call at all. We get it through an automatic fire alarm. Every single one of those points is a family, is a person, is a story. And so when I look at that, I don't see all those numbers. And then sometimes it's a little bit difficult to communicate to folks. Does that make sense, though? Kind of seeing that? My hope is that you can see that the same way that I see it. And then it's also probably not coming in there terribly well, but anything that is in green is a residence, someone's home, something that they call home. Anything that's in yellow is an industry. Gray is a utility building. Blue is a business, and kind of run out of colors there. But I got some other ones I could show you in a couple minutes. But there's a game, because I'm 40, almost 42, but I grew up playing a game called SimCity. So that was kind of the zoning that they did. It's my way that I tied it all together. It's the way that I made it make sense for me. But what you're looking at there, the most common place that we have a fire event is at someone's home to this day. In this day and age, the most common place that we have a fire event that we respond to as the fire department, a 24/7, 365 fire department that staffs 2 fire stations, one in Collin Park, one on Waverly. Our maximum staffing is 7, minimums are 5. So that means there's 5 full-time people on duty or 7 full-time people on duty, depending on the time of the year. But the most common fires that group of people responds to is at someone's home, where we all live, right? So one of the things that I like to communicate to people is how to keep your home or wherever it is that you live safe. We live in a unique time, and have been now for a few years, where how do I put this? The value of where we live, or at least the monetary replacement value of where we live, has gone up dramatically. Has anybody else, show of hands, have you seen that? Seen that? Okay. So cost of living has gone up dramatically. The value, or at least what people have agreed the value of your residence is. But spare a thought, if you will. When was the last time, if you live in a home or anything like that, or you're renting or whatever your situation is, when was the last time you reviewed your insurance? When was the last time you reviewed your insurance? You don't have to say. You don't have to say. But the reason I say that is I've encountered some folks recently who've had fires in their homes, and they discovered shortly thereafter that their insurance, based on what the value of their home was, their insurance was less than what the value of their home had increased to. Does anybody else find that? Show of maybe nods here and there if you've discovered that in your life. Important to check that stuff, because that's the difference between if you live in your home, own your home, and you, for whatever reason, lose your home, as people in this the data set there have. It may be more difficult than you think to rebuild it. It's also, interestingly enough, and these are why you want to focus on home fire safety. We live in a time where finding people to do the work to replace your home, there are fewer for whatever reason, and materials are also being sourced out, and it's taking additional time. So one of the things that I really try to impress upon people, and why I'm so excited to be able to come and talk to everybody today, is number one, wherever you live, protect it. Wherever you live, protect it. And I say that, and that's coming from a guy that's had 2 small fires in his house. Can I take you through them for a moment? All right. So there I was. I flipped a light switch and it caught on fire. That's my story, right? My house was built in 1946. I think it was wired on a Friday at about 5 o'clock. And it was up in the office there, and I turned the light off for the night, and the light switch caught on fire. Right then, yeah, I know. I said the same thing. My mouth dropped open. I went, oh. I ran track in high school, so I got to use that skill as I went down to my basement, right to my panel, shut the main off to the house. Went back upstairs, and I was yelling while I was doing this, by the way. I'm not as animated as I was right now. Went back upstairs, and the fire was contained within the box. And then my wife and I got to have a very sudden, very abrupt home improvement project where we removed everything and got to pretend to be an electrician for a little bit. And we pulled apart, so it was the switch that had caught on fire. Yeah, just the switch. It was a switch. I believe it was the original switch that had come with the home in, what was it, the Eisenhower administration at that point in time? I may be off by a couple of years, but it was that same switch that was there at that time. So there's my one fire. My other fire, I was not home. So this one cannot be directly blamed on me. But we had it feels weird to say, Sears is still somewhat of a thing, right? I feel odd saying that, but yeah, it's not necessarily the thing that it once was. But they had an appliance brand or division called Kenmore. Thank you for the nods of approval. It makes me feel good. So we had a Kenmore dishwasher, and that thing abruptly went into retirement about 28 years after it was manufactured. I wasn't home, but my wife had set the dishwasher, turned it on, took a nap, was abruptly awakened by our working smoke alarms, was abruptly awakened by those, came out, and the bedroom door was shut, because we do that too. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Bedroom door is shut, walks out into the hallway. There's smoke in the hallway. She sees it's in the kitchen. Yeah, I know, very scary for her. Sees that the dishwasher is presently blowing smoke out of it. And again, home fires, it's a real thing. So in our house, we do a little thing called training. And we trained on where the panel is. This was very early on in her moving into the house. It's like, this is where the panel is. This is how you shut it off. And you have to do it fast. So she ran downstairs, shuts the panel off, single-handedly saves the home. Medals were handed out that night. No, it was a big deal. Good job. Training in action. So again, standing here with a patch and a badge, I've had 2 fires in my house, right? I'm just like every single person you see up there, right? I'm just like that. You're just like me. We're all susceptible to these same things. And so that's why it's so important to be able to prevent all of these things and train on these things. So out of those just little anecdotal stories, do you know how to shut the electrical panel off in your house? Do you know where it is? Yeah. Do you have good working smoke alarms in your home? Are they in places where you sleep? Because in my situation, my wife was asleep. We have hardwired interconnected smoke alarms that are connected together. And I also have fire extinguishers in my home. Didn't have to use them. Didn't have to use them in those circumstances. But I did need to know where my electrical panel was. And we also have you seen these now? They have fire blankets. Have you seen the fire blankets? So I'm nervous to walk towards that. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I think it's off. But so the fire blankets, they work remarkably well too. Not a bad investment. Not a bad investment. We have one in the garage and we have one in the kitchen. Because statistically, as you'll see up there on the board, you'll notice that garage shows up multiple times and kitchen shows up multiple times. Sometimes the place in the home where mistakes happen. So we got our fire blankets there, extinguishers in there. A good home fire extinguisher you can pick up at any retailer, your big box type of places. Meijer, Menards, not being particular at either. No need to divide the audience this early, but so there are. Won't push anybody out. Yeah, you can pick them up places like that. And then those blankets really do work really well. Benefits of those blankets, as was mentioned earlier, I have 3 small children, and sometimes those 3 small children create a distraction. Let's call it during dinner. And so if somebody knows, I heard somebody affirmingly laugh there. So you'll notice your kitchen fire things up there. And in my experience, those things most often happen when we're distracted and pulled away from that cooktop. And depending on what type of oils you're cooking with, that can be somewhat of an issue. And so those blankets, what they do is they work to smother that fire. It's interesting because they seem to have kind of fallen out of fashion over time, and now they're magically coming back. I don't know if it's a marketing thing. Maybe blanket marketing is suddenly doing really good again versus extinguisher marketing. Regardless, they work very well because if you discharge an extinguisher in your kitchen, you get a lot of dust. And we have a rule with those things. They're one, done, and run. So if you use an extinguisher in your home, if you can't see and you can't breathe, you're done. You need to be out of there. It's no place for you anymore. The nice thing about those blankets is when you drop them over whatever the burning surface is there and it covers it, you can still reach to turn off your stove. So you can cover it and then use it that way. So again, I'm an advocate for those. We have one at our house in the, I should have brought photos, shame on me. There's, again, one in the garage, one in the kitchen, just hanging up there. So again, protect your investment. At our house, we know where, we've all trained on where the electrical panel is, how to shut the main off. We know where extinguishers are. We have good working smoke alarms. I'm, again, to reiterate, just as susceptible to this as everybody else is. And unfortunately, I'm vigilant about it because I go and do this, right? And I've tracked it now, for better, for worse, for going on 6 years. And you can see the most common things. If you can see the green, I know it's a little bit blurry, but if you can see the green, those are all people's homes. Those are all people's homes. That's all their memories. That's their safe place. And so one of the things that I really stress upon people is you've got to protect your safe place. Protect where it is that you sleep. Talked about smoke alarms. Talked about having one everywhere that it is that you sleep. Even in your if you've got a little bit of extra space in your house by chance, and you use one of your different rooms now maybe for storage. Used to be a bedroom, but you use it for storage now, or just kind of gets rotated out depending on if family comes in, whatever the situation is. Still make sure those smoke alarms work in there, right? You could still have an issue in those rooms. Good working smoke alarms, a good way to protect your home in terms of extinguishers and those blankets, if that's your choice. But let's talk about some of these places where the fires occur. We just did a couple of, who am I looking for? Am I looking at you with my little sign? Because I can talk all day. You don't want to hear me talk all day, but I can talk all day. One of the places that we try to make sure is most clear, or that you have a way to access, is whatever your common path of travel is out of your house. And for different people, that means different things. Depending on whatever your level of mobility is, if it's easy for you to get out, terrific. If you've got a different route that you need to use, it's so important that that route be open. So like at our house, we've got a plan. You have a plan at your house? If you don't, that's okay. You have a whole day. And it's kind of rainy, so you can make your plan today, right? I'm just advocating for these things. It's kind of what I do. Terrific. Oh, perfect. So on a day like today, when you've got a little bit of time, see if you can make sure that your access route is open. And it sounds kind of silly still, but because we do fire drills all over town, businesses, things like that. Where do you never do a fire drill? Nobody ever does a fire drill at home. You know what we do at my house? Fire drills. Yeah, kids love it. There's a fire, what do we do? Driveway, yes. So we go out, meet in the driveway, and then we go back inside and get a cookie, and everything's better. But you can do that at your house, too, if you want. I don't know if you have cookies. I'm not supplying them. It's on your own. But again, have that clear path out of your home, whatever that means, which is absolutely essential. Because the thing to remember is when the bad thing happens, and I had mentioned earlier that can't see, can't breathe, panic sets in. I think Rod's probably going to lend himself to that a little bit too, just trying to combat that a little bit. But and when that sets in, tripping sets in, other hazards set in. You get overcome with all these things. If you know your path out of your house, the place where you've lived and been for however long you've been there, that's so important. I have seen people, unfortunately, in my life that didn't get out. And it was just as simple as running into a wall, and that's not a joke, because they couldn't see. And so protect your home. Know that you have good working smoke alarms, some way to potentially suppress and control a fire in your house, and know that 2 ways out of your house and a good path to be able to get to that point. Because that's most commonly where these happen at. Most commonly these fires happen. If you can't control that fire in that space, it's no place for you to be anymore. Can't see, can't breathe, be out. And then lastly, and this is something that we do at our house, and it's been impressed to me upon all the fires that I go to. We sleep with our bedroom door closed. And for some folks, that's something that they don't want to do. It's your house, it's your rules. What I found in my experience is that is the most common way to block the smoke from elsewhere in the structure from reaching where you sleep. I've been to multiple house fires, even some that are up there on that list, where you'll see that the remainder of the house has been sooted, blackened, and smoked up very heavily, and the bedroom door was shut, and there's no damage in that room. So older homes, mine from 1946, was built to compartmentalize to deal with fire. In fact, most compartmentalization is done to deal with fire. That's why we have doors and things like this that close and seal when fire alarms go off, is to control airflow and smoke flow. It's all designed in. The same thing, hopefully, would be the case at your house. My goal is to talk to you here like this and to never speak to you in your front yard at 3 a.m. That would be my goal with you as residents of Holland, or just the surrounding areas here for that matter. As much as you all look like beautiful, wonderful people, we don't really want to talk on that level. My goal is to hopefully educate and then prevent ever having those conversations, because they do happen quite frequently, as you can see what's up there. But am I closing it out, or good? Perfect. Hey, hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you much. All right, welcome, and thank you for having me. So talking about the police department, it's a tricky situation because we do the enforcement part of things, but we also do the protection side of things, right? So it sometimes goes hand in hand, and sometimes it feels like it can kind of conflict with one another. But it doesn't matter what we're doing, we're guided by this mission statement. And the bottom line is, the first line says it all. We serve everyone, regardless of walk of life, religion, creed, political affiliation, doesn't matter. Our oath is to serve everyone. So in the seal, it furthers that. It says, in God we trust, and there's strength in numbers. And how we take that is that we are part of a larger community. We're not isolated and stand alone, but rather we're here to serve. We're here to collaborate with everyone, because we recognize that as we are able to serve, we also have needs that we need to fulfill in order to protect the community the best way that we can. Alice was kind enough to give a little bit of information about me. But in the professional realm, I've been an officer for over 2 decades. I've held a variety of posts within the police department. And this, I can say, the community policing assignment is the most fulfilling, because I've gone through this stage where we are young and full of energy and full of enthusiasm, and we just want to, I'll be honest, the first 3-4 years you want to go out there and have big cases and arrest people. And it's fun. And to a degree, I still enjoy it. But today, you like what you like. But at this juncture in life, it really fills my heart to be able to find someone, and it happens, my children see it all the time. The many children you all went like, whoa, about. They see this, where I have people come up to me and say, Officer Mendoza, 2 years ago, you had this deep conversation with me. Or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you arrested me. And you told me, even though you were arresting me, that you knew I could do better and you expected better of me. And I had it in me. And look at what I'm doing today. And that's fulfilling, because it allows us to recognize that there's a huge role that we play in people's lives. Because I told someone earlier, we see humanity at their best and at their worst. We see people when they've made really terrible choices, and we see people rise to the occasion and come through for their fellow human beings, and that is just a beautiful thing. So it allows us for the most excellent service that we can provide to the community. But we'll do a couple of things. We'll talk about what we do as a police department, and we'll talk about a couple of issues that impact you, and we'll go from there. As a sidebar, I know Alice said no questions that are questionable. We're an open book. If you have any type of questions and we have the time, I'm happy to answer anything, okay? Let's get into what is expected of a patrolman or a police officer. First and foremost, there's 59 of us at the police department, okay? It's a rotation of similar to the fire department, between 5 and 7 people that are working all the time. But we took about 16,000, almost 17,000 calls last year. So the idea that Holland is a very safe place, it's real, but we're also very busy. People ask, what are the bad parts of town? There isn't really a bad part of town. If you use common sense, you'll be fine. But we are busy. We respond to a lot of different types of calls. But what is expected of us, regardless of what's happening? We need to remain professional. Whether you are in a situation where someone is being very aggressive, or you're in a situation where it's emotionally charged. It could be a guy is yelling at me and wants to punch me in the face, or CPS is asking me to go to someone's house and remove their children, right? Those situations, you have to remain genuine and empathetic, but remain professional. We gave up the right to be out of shape and not in the best condition. Why? Because we took an oath to serve you. And if I'm out of shape, if I can't do the job, then I'm not fulfilling that oath. So it comes with the territory. We need to be able to make decisions that are going to impact people for the rest of their lives, right? So we need to be able to make those decisions with a sound mind, keeping all of the circumstances in this incident into consideration. In addition to that, like I said, there's the enforcement part, but there's also the collaboration part. We at the police department go to great lengths to engage with the community, and we'll touch more on that. But we recognize that we are here for and because of the community. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So we're here to serve. And ultimately, everything that we do, especially on the enforcement side, it has to have a legal basis. It doesn't matter, and sometimes that's hard, right? You guys took ethics, right? And then they pose these questions. Well, what if your mom stole? Would you? All of those have to be done with a human lens of empathy, but ultimately with a legal basis. You need to know that the decisions that you're taking are going to be supported in a court of law. Not only because it could impact the outcome for that person, but also for us. I've been sued 2 times as a police officer. Both of them were found unfounded, but we're not exempt from anyone having the knowledge or the resources to say, I want to sue that person because they arrested me and I feel that that was inappropriate, right? So we need to have that in place. As we carry on our careers, there are many challenges that we face. Mind you, if I speak about one, it may not be a big deal, but I've been doing this for 21 years, 22 years actually. I'm gonna do it for 3 more. So think of this for the duration of a career rather than a one-time thing. We're going to be experiencing high-stress situations all of our working careers. It doesn't mean that if I'm sitting in a parking lot doing homework or paperwork rather, I can just relax and lower my guard. Even then, I have to stay attentive. They call it keep your head on a pivot, always working. So your stress level cannot be the same that you're experiencing at home. It's always going to be elevated, and only from there, that's your baseline, then you go up, right? So that is always going to be the case. With our schedules, today I'm blessed enough that I have a banker's schedule, right? I work 7 to 5, Monday through Thursdays. But the bulk of officers work a shift that is either 12-hour shifts or they work nights. Every single one of us has worked holidays many a times. Any of them can tell you I had to leave my children's party. I had to not attend that wedding or anything like that. So it's demanding. And you have, if you want to be successful, you have to be able to balance all of that. The divorce rate in my profession is really, really high. And it has to do a lot with this, that we're always being demanded at work. We're being drained of that emotional bandwidth. And when you get home, if you're not careful and you don't have that work balance, then you just want to sit down and catch your breath while your family is ready to go, right? So long term, that can have negative impacts. So it's something that we have to keep in mind. I just talked about the emotional toll. We see a variety of cases. I said earlier, we see the worst in humanity. So it takes a toll on you. You have to be able to be present and to serve the people. You have to show genuine empathy, but you also have to develop the ability to say, stay at work as much as you can. I've asked my family, how am I doing with that? When I was working nights, it was way different because I was really tired all the time and you're grumpy and you're just short-fused. But now it's a lot better. So for the duration of a police officer's career, this can be really challenging. You have public scrutiny in the sense of you are going to be questioned for things that in your mind you did right. So the ones that you did wrong and you can admit, those are like, yeah, you're calling me out on a mistake that I made. It is what it is. But on the ones that you did right, it's harder because you recognize that everyone has the ability to have an opinion, right? And everyone, without knowing or knowing what it takes to make those decisions, will have an opinion. So you have to be able to balance that. I will tell you that we are living in unprecedented times, but There's always been people that are supportive of police work and people that are challenging of it. It seems that that has only increased. The amount of people that support are more vocal and more supportive, and the people that are against it are doing the same. The way I find myself being centered is knowing in what I'm doing and doing the right thing. So whether there's support or there is criticism, I know in my heart that if I did the best thing that I could, the best job that I could, then I can live with that regardless of what the input is. And ultimately, there are many, many times where we have to make split-second decisions because someone's life might be in the balance. So those are also very, very stressful situations, but it comes with the territory, and like I said, it's part of our career, and we enjoy it for the most part. I said earlier that we have 59 officers. We serve 35,000 people here in the Holland area. So we stay busy because our motto is not to just be reactive, but to be proactive. And it doesn't mean just enforcement. Proactive in engaging with people, proactive in identifying there's an unusual level of activity happening here, proactive in what is that guy looking outside of the school for. So little things like that we try to stay engaged with and keep a pulse on the areas that we're assigned to. But it comes with its challenges. At the police department, we have about 20 specialty teams. I just want to highlight a few of them. The first one is the cool one, right? SET is the equivalent to SWAT. But this one, CNT and CIT, I love the fact that they're very community-oriented. They are recognizing that there are people in situations that are very emotionally charged, or there's a mental health-related concern, and we've actually implemented systems in place to address this, to not just come from the side of enforcement. In the past, again, 20 years ago, if there was a barricaded gunman or a person having a mental breakdown, it was nothing for us to say, we're just gonna get them out and everybody's gonna be safe. Bam, kick the door, go in, grab them, end of conversation. That would create side effects, right? Because that would inform that person's opinion down the road. That would also create jeopardy on the spot, and it wasn't the best approach. Today, we've embraced larger ideas that go beyond the scope of enforcement, and we've seen a lot of success with this too, especially CIT. CIT is a team that pairs a police officer that's specially trained with a social worker, and that is full-time. So we have that team going out there. If you see people that are experiencing homelessness, if you see people that are experiencing a mental health breakdown, we have the ability to put people with resources right on the spot, and that has completely changed the narrative. It has brought down our violent incidents dramatically. It has increased access for resources for people, and it came from the willingness to always see what is best for our community. A couple more, talking about the engagement. We have officers at all of the public schools. There are talks to put officers at least part-time at both Lac River and Holland Christian, but we'll see what happens. We have digital forensics, so we have the best in technology as well as the best in people, really. That's what matters. And, community policing encompasses all of that. Our job is to be liaisons between the police department and the community, between needs and resources, and try to bridge that gap so that people feel that they have an ally in us and that they can recognize that if there's a need, there's always someone that can be on their side. Let's switch gears and talk about a couple of the issues. David had sent me a list of, we want to talk about 20 things. You have 10 minutes. Here we go. So we picked 2. Elderly fraud. This is huge, and we'll see why. But let's get right into what they are. These are the most relevant methods that people are targeting elderly people. And I'm here to tell you, people without an education, people with an education, people that are computer savvy, people that are not computer, everyone is at risk of falling prey to this because the fraudsters are getting more and more sophisticated, and it's well worth their time because of the amount of money they're scamming. So we have tech support scams. That is, in a nutshell, they call you and say, hey, we are from Microsoft. We want to offer you this support for your computer. If you give us access remotely, I'm going to send you a text. You click on that, and they get into your computer. What you're not realizing is that they get access to all of your bank accounts. They get access to all of your information. The biggest case that I've handled, the person was defrauded of $120,000. So it happens all the time. Other cases, they call and said, especially for elderly people, they say, we're from Social Security Administration, we're from the FBI, we're from, and it's always something that comes across as real, right? As verified. This one is huge, the grandparent scam, where they call you and say, hey, Grandma, I'm in trouble, I need help. This happens quite a bit. And these are a few more. They'll call you with a business proposal or say that you want something, they want you to invest, and there's a huge return, there's no risk. There are times where they call you and say, hey, I want to start a relationship with you, and they have been very successful. Phishing is very prevalent. Does anyone know what it is? Okay. So for those that don't, in a nutshell, is when you receive either a text or an email on your phone and says, click here, we are your bank, we are your church, we are your friend, whomever, and they're very, very good at making it look real. For an email, for example, the biggest thing is don't click on the prompt that they're asking you to go to, but you can click on the email that it's coming from. Say it's Amazon, right? It would be amazon.com/deliveries. That would be real. This one will be Amazon without the O, or there's a bunch of numbers and letters after that. So you have to pay attention. We don't have the time to get into that, but well worth paying attention to that phishing scam, okay? The big thing that they share is they want to instill a sense of urgency. Why is that? Because they don't want you to think. They want you to act. They want your reptilian brain to kick in and say, I need to rescue my grandchild. I need to do this, or I'm going to lose my money. I'm going to lose my Medicare. I'm going to lose my investments, whatever it is. And oftentimes, they ask you not to say anything. Anyone in your life that is reputable, that has brought about something positive, will maybe express a sense of urgency. It's a possibility. We don't know why, but there would be a reasonable explanation. But nobody should be telling you that this is a secret, right? So just pay attention to those things to ensure that this is something legit and not a scam. So let's talk about why. Why is there good enough motivation? Scamming of elderly people has gone up 46% in the last year, okay? Reported is 147,000 plus complaints. And the total amount of money that has been stolen from people in the United States is $5 billion. It's a lot of money. So what can you do about it? I would submit to you, and I'll be very honest with you, you can go there, and that's what the FBI tells you to go to that website and file a complaint. People that come to us and file a complaint and say, hey, I sent money to this person, they'll tell you, hey, send us money, go to Walmart, go to Best Buy, give us credit or gift cards. I have yet to see one single time where we recover the funds. Once that money is gone, we're not getting it back. I don't care how many emails you have, how many phone numbers, how many recordings, it's all a scam. We can't even trace it. So please don't get into that in the first place, okay? There was a question as well as about immigration. So I will tell you how we work with federal agencies. We basically work with all of them the same way. They come into town and they say, hey, we're doing this. The marshals, for example, they come in and they tell us, we're going to arrest this person. He has a federal warrant. We ask, do you need our support, or are you all set and you're just letting us know? And they'll tell us. For immigration, that was one of the questions. Despite public postings out there recently, I can tell you that we have not been contacted by immigration, and we have not seen any activity of that kind in the city to date in the last, years. So that, hopefully that answers a couple of questions. We'll skip this video for the sake of time, but these are some of the things that we do in terms of engaging with the community. The middle one is a junior police academy. We bring children that sign up that are in 6th and 7th grade, and we expose them to what we do. Several of them years later have come around and become police officers, which I think is cool. But the biggest thing is informing these children that are going to be teenagers that we are here on their side as an ally. We have that Polar Patrol truck. We do a lot of community events. This is the CIT team I was talking about. This Officer Matt on your left, my left now. And the gentleman on the right, his name is Matt, and he is a social worker. And then we've got the VIPs, which is one of the opportunities that we have for volunteering within the police department. And they are very, very engaged also with the community, and they'll be able to tell you more outside once we have finished the presentation. And I think that's all I've got today for the sake of time. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're ready for questions, and we have 2 mics, one over here. And again, this is not your time to give a speech, it's time to ask questions. So
Maybe.
we can start, and we have about 15 minutes to do that, okay?
Thank you.
So I have a fire
Yes.
department sort of question.
I'll
And it might
go sit
involve
down
you, I
then.
don't know. But, you know, there's a lot of discussion about lithium batteries and fires. And we actually had a neighbor who had a computer that caught on fire that she laptop stuffed in a magazine rack, burnt down her house. But if you see one of those smoking, will a fire blanket work on that? I know extinguishers don't.
Great question.
Suggestions?
Awesome question. Yes and no. This is the worst way to answer it, but so when lithium-ion batteries burn, they do not need oxygen. It is a heat-based, self-propagating, if you can imagine a row of dominoes, let's call it the domino effect. Once those fall, it's going to burn until it's out of fuel. So the blanket may work to just physically get it out of the house. Lithium-ion batteries, it is, in my experience, I want to be clear on this, it is rare when we have an event with them. It's uncommon. And it's uncommon to the point that that's why you see so many news stories and things about them. But if something occurs with it, again, try to get it out of the residence as fast as possible. Whether it's a window, whether it's a door, whatever the situation, get it out. The blanket may work to hold it a little bit, but those blankets are rated to a certain heat, and at some point in time they will fail also. So awesome, great question.
Alice alluded to EMS. Could you tell us what EMS is?
Emergency medical services. Yep. And so primarily what we respond to, we're all emergency medical technician, either basic or paramedic in the fire department. And so we respond to strokes, heart attacks, traumas, sick people, whatever the situation may be. We've also had a lot of work and support in our community with trying to improve cardiac arrest survival rates. One of our firefighters, Angela Lown, has been instrumental with doing Heart Safe Holland and raising awareness on both CPR and use of AEDs to promote survival in the event of a cardiac arrest. But EMS is a blanket term in terms of what we do, and almost the majority of what we do, about 66% of our calls is people that are hurt, sick. We go there just ahead of the ambulance. It's a tiered normal response, and then we go and support both the person and whatever the situation is, try to get them, if go to the hospital, if that's what the situation dictates. But yeah, great question.
In the wake of all the random shootings that we are seeing, I'm wondering what our response as seniors. The first 3 minutes are really critical, and we as seniors cannot crawl under a desk like the students do.
I have bad news for you, because it's not just 3 minutes. Our average response time to an event like that in the city is 3 minutes. But realize that when we get there, our first and most critical goal is to stop the shooter. So however long that takes us, whether it's 10 seconds or an additional 10 minutes, you're kind of on your own. And that's sobering to say, but I want to say it clearly because that's the reality. So I will leave this question with that, though. The CRACE class that Alice alluded to, CRASE, Civilian Response to Active Shooter Events, we address that and we talk about what you can do. So, shameless plug, it's a free class. We've got one coming up in the fall, and you guys should really look at it. I'll send the information to Alice. She can disseminate it to all of you. But it would be a great opportunity to learn some actionable steps to take. Thank you. Yes.
This past, this last tulip time, I noticed, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one, there were some gentlemen walking around, and on their backs it said Homeland Security. And I wondered if it was a little surprising to see that at a local event, and what their role was, and, you know, just why were they there?
Great. So, tulip time has begun to grow more and more every year. And for a number of years now, we've actually worked with all of the three-letter agencies. And you haven't seen them in previous years, but we've got FBI, Homeland Security, ATF. You'll see people up on the roofs. We are treating this as a high priority event. We haven't had any specific threats. But if you notice this year, for example, we shortened the route of the parade. And every single entry point or vulnerability into the parade was addressed. You could not have driven a vehicle through, because we recognize that as times change, the threats and the vulnerabilities also evolve. This time around, we've defined that the biggest thing that could potentially happen was a vehicle coming through. So we employed a number of resources to close all access points. We bring in all of the agencies that are able to be present, and we try to do it discreetly, right? Because the idea is not to convey fear or to convey a concern, but rather to allow you guys to carry on with daily life like nothing while we are ready for everything.
He's got it, yeah.
Sorry, operator error. Question regarding emergency medical services. Does the city provide the ambulances, or is that a private contractor that does that? And if it's private, how does that affect response times?
Terrific question. So it is a private company. On our side of the state, primarily Kent and Ottawa counties, Muskegon County, around here, there are no fire-based or public-based transport services to get people to the hospital. They're all private companies. They operate in an area the same way any other business does. They are a business. So whether it's a green and yellow ambulance that you see or a red, white, and blue ambulance that you see, that's a private business. Same as driving by any gas station, Meijer, anything like that. They provide a service, and that's a tiered transport response to that. The city does not contract with them, no organizations. The county does not contract with them. They operate because that's where they've always been. They've been here. And so we work with them. They work with us, but we are not affiliated with them in any way. Their response times are measured by somewhat of a loose authority, and but our response times are dictated by, how do I put this? We have oversight within our organization that makes sure that we hit marks in terms of getting units to the scene at an appropriate amount of time. So they operate differently. So does that answer to some degree? Perfect.
A few years ago, I made the move into, quote, the city downtown area more than the outer skirts. And I have questions about noise. There's no way to stop the noise that's extraneous with automobiles.
There's a city ordinance in place that, well, there too, you're talking about noise in general, from music, from people, and then there's a second one for vehicles. So for people, the idea or the ordinance says that if you can hear the source of noise or 25 feet away from, if you can hear it from there, then that could be a violation. And for loud mufflers also, loud vehicles, it could also be a violation.
And I notice from my view, several stories up, there's a lot of transient people coming and planting themselves in the neighborhood. And it's after hours for police. And how do you question what their intention is? And when you see more than one get together, that makes you even more anxious as a senior.
Right. So I said earlier, right, there are no bad areas of Holland, but you need to use common sense. One thing that you need to realize is that with the unhoused population that you're alluding to, the vast majority of them have either mental health related issues that are serious enough to render them in that station of life, or they have addiction related issues. So having that in mind, you're not assuming the worst, but you have an educated opinion as to what that person is doing, or how they're caring about their day. So if I tell you this person that you're going to walk by has mental health issues, we don't know if he's violent or not, we don't know if he's under the influence of drugs or not, and you have the option of walking across the street, right? What do? You just choose the safer option. It's a much larger conversation to say, well, what do we do with that person? Can we do something else? But in terms of what you can do, operate with the safest options that you have available.
Yes, my question is for either one. Either one. Should we?
There you go.
Should we be concerned of keeping a fire extinguisher in our car or blanket?
I do. No, that's good. There's a little bit of an issue there because it gets cold in Michigan and it freezes, and it impacts the pressure in that vessel. So a blanket wouldn't, one of the fire blankets wouldn't hurt. Again, it's that use time, right? Don't ever use something that you've never been trained on or aren't comfortable with or anything like that. So those blankets, in my view, are easier to use because mostly have used a blanket to throw a blanket over something at some point in time. So I'm very pro blanket. I don't think that's a bad idea. Protect any investment that you have, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's your home. You've got to have tools to be able to do that, and the best tools are the ones that you're comfortable with.
Well, thank you for taking all these questions. I have to admit it was a learning experience for me, so I really hope it was for all of you. And now you have a chance to see how to use your talents and experience by going to our outside venue here to talk with the places you can volunteer. Lots of opportunities, folks. And we'll see you next month. Enjoy.